give love when I don't get love back.
No legs, no family, no answers. She was abandoned on the streets of Thailand as a baby.
That was like wild.
But even that couldn't dim her spirit.
Sometimes the darkness is actually pretty good.
Now a world-class athlete, model, and motivational speaker, Kanya Sesser is schooling us on how to truly live intentionally.
If we live in all rainbows, positivity, and sunshine, how are we going to learn? And I can teach you, and I can show you, and I can educate you. I'm going to educate you.
You have no limitations in your life.
Kanya Sesser, no legs, no limit.
On an all-new Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers.
This is Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. Hi, Kanya. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. I'm really, really excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you too. I know. I feel like I know a little bit about you because I've done some of my research and I've heard you on a few other podcasts. And your story is just so inspirational. It is so unique. And I know my husband and I actually were just talking about it before we jumped on the podcast. And I'm saying, you know, anything that you have gone through, and we're going to get into that in just a minute, but the amount of things that you have gone through and just coming up in your life, just one of those could send someone into like a downward spiral or a negative space. And from my perspective, that's not you at all. Like, nothing has ever fazed you. You are just joy and light and positivity all around. So I want to get into your story. Just give the listeners a little bit of an idea of like where you came from, who you are, what you did, and then we can kind of jump into that because I love the energy you're bringing into the world.
Yeah, thank you so much. Of course. So I'm originally from Thailand. That's actually where I was found on the side of the road as a baby. A woman and a man, they were going to the market around early morning before like the sun actually came up. And when he went to the market, he heard a baby cry and he was like, this is so crazy. Like, you know, like what is that coming from? Because like, they were in Pak Chong, Thailand, which is 2 hours northeast of Bangkok. And that area is not the city, it's more country. Imagine like farmers, people living in like the projects, like places that are very poor area, but they make their living out of there. And in 1992, life was way different versus how it is now. So there were train tracks and trains where, you can either go from Chiang Mai to Laos and down or out to Bangkok and out that way. So there's like a train area. So when the guy, the man heard me cry, he went back to his house actually to go search for a like a light, so that because it was still dark out. It was in the morning, but it was still dark out. And he went out with his sister actually, and they was like, I kept crying and crying, they said. In Thai, they said that I just kept crying and they just followed the noise and they saw me behind a blue arrow sign, where all these bushes and like where the forest is. So back in 1992, the roads were a lot different. It was a one-way road where it was really rough. So I was like in an area where it's just like all forest, like all trees, all grass. Yeah. And so now it's a two-way road, and where I was found is actually now a medium, like a little island area of the road. So they found me and they took me in, like they just grabbed me and hold me and they're like calming me, but they noticed that like I looked around maybe like 2 months old, maybe a month old. It's already can tell that I'm not a newborn because like it's I've been living somewhere, maybe with my birth mom, maybe with my birth dad, who knows? I don't know what happened. But they just pulled me in and I had dirt everywhere. I had mosquito bites. So they think that I was out there on the side of the road maybe for a day, maybe for like maybe no more than a day, no more than that. And then they looked in the like kind of like in a horizon, and I saw this lady kind of like sitting in a not tuk tuk, but like a bicycle. Where in Thailand they have someone in a bicycle, and then in the back of it you can sit in the back of
Mm-hmm.
this like cart. And this lady, they said, we were looking in horizon, and like this lady was staring at us, and she looks a lot like you. She had like
Mm.
long, really long hair, beautiful. She looks like she's from the outskirts of Bangkok, maybe. She was wearing a white blouse and light brown pants. She looked like she might be been like 18 years old,
Mm.
but like she was looking at the distance where, like, how a mother looks,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like making sure that like everything's safe, but we don't know for sure if that's my birth mom or not. But it was suspicious because we don't know who the heck she is. And they said when I was visiting, the woman and the man who found me, they said that she looked like your mother because you had the resemblance, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not for sure, and it can't be classified that. It hasn't been proven in the case. So, like, long story short, they took me in, and I called the Pak Chong police, but while they do that, they're trying to wash me and all that. They open up the pink blanket that I was wrapped in, and they realized I don't have any legs. And they were
Wow.
looking down, and they were trying to see if there's any amputation indication of anything, because in those countries like China, Thailand, Southeast Asian, I mean anywhere, but mostly in those countries, kids will be kidnapped from gangsters or bad people, and they would be amputated to sell out for like prostitution, or maybe beggars, to become beggars
Wow.
on the street. But that never happened to me because there's no indication of like any infection or anything like that. So they found out that I was just born this way. I was born without
Wow.
legs, and the Pak Chong Police Department took me in and took me to the Pak Chong Hospital, Sahatai Hospital, and I was on the news. It was like TV was like meant for me already from day one or
Oh
something,
my
but
goodness.
the nurses and everybody there just like saw me, and they saw how cute, they said that how cute I was, and like wanted
Mm-hmm.
to take me in, but I had to be approved of September 13th of 1992 to be living in the hospital at the time. And the nurses there, like Mei Chung and Mei Toy, they were the two mothers that raised me as their own until I was sent to Yai and Tai, which is my grandma and grandpa. They're not really my real grandma and grandpa, but they were like um, older people that took care of me. They didn't want me to go to foster home because my safety was really important, and they didn't
Mm-hmm.
want me to. They wanted to make sure I'm safe, and not just that, but during that time, they were trying to see if anybody can like try to like get me, accept me,
Yeah.
or like see where I come from, or like kind of like case, like, investigation. And nobody claimed me, and so they approved me, and then I lived with the hospital for maybe like actually a maybe up to a year, and then I lived with my grandpa and grandma, and then I was adopted of March 19 no May, I think it was May of 1998, when I was just 5.5 years old, from Jane and Dave Sesser. My mom had 3 miscarriages,
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted to have a third child and wanted a girl. And so she talked to my dad for years for an adoption. And so they saw me through Holt International Adoptees for, kids, and they flew out to Thailand and grabbed me. And my mom wasn't like, "Oh, I feel so bad for this no leg kid." She was like,
Mm-hmm.
"I feel a soul connection, and I love her, and I want her to be part of our family and our daughter." And I have 2 older brothers out of 3 of us, so I'm the youngest. And I felt like my brothers were kind of jealous. They were like, "I do not want another, you know, sibling," and like, but the middle child, Scott, my brother wanted a sister, but I was so independent, and I didn't want any help. I didn't want, and I was just kind of like weirded out by men because I was mostly all around women, like the
Mhm.
nurses and all that. And so, yeah, and then I flew out to Portland, Oregon, where I was raised from Bangkok, Thailand, and they just did a whole paper. And here I am. My life just changed after that.
That is just amazing. I mean, the fact that you were found, I love that you were found by, like, you said, like a blue arrow. It's kind of like pointing in the direction. It feels, and even how you talk about your mom adopting you, being like you were part of her soul, like that you guys were, your souls were calling to one another. That I think is so unique. And I think that is what really comes across for me when I'm watching you and everything you're doing. Is that you do feel so connected. You feel like you are here for a bigger purpose. I mean, the fact that you were left when you were talking about that woman watching you, it almost sounds like a guardian angel, or, like an earth angel, someone sitting there
Yeah.
just making sure that you were going to be okay and keeping watch over you. So that is beautiful. I hadn't heard that part of the story. And then to come in with no legs. And not only do you have no legs, not only do you not know where your parents of origin, like where you come from, but you are an athlete. You are a world class athlete. You skateboard, you surf, you snowboard, you model, like all these things that people just dream of doing. You have no limitations in your life. And I think that is so beautiful. Like, how did you just take that and just be like, this is me? Because like I said, when we started, a lot of people not knowing who their parents were, that would be a major struggle with them in their life. I actually know quite a few people that I grew up with that found out that their dads weren't their dads or didn't know who their father was later in life. And it really kind of messed with their head. It doesn't seem to affect you that much. And then on top of it, you have, I know you don't even call it a disability. You have a challenge in life that other people don't. And that people can spiral into. So how do you come at life with such positivity and not let that stuff bring you down? Like, how are you how you are? Because you're amazing.
Thank you. So when I came to America, my mom actually had to study, people with disabilities, going to
Mm-hmm.
classes. My older brother actually has autism, like
Okay.
high functioning autism. So she was
Mm-hmm.
taking care of like him with a it's mental
Yeah.
disability, and me, I mean, in real life, it's physical disability. So she's like a Wonder Woman. And with me coming into the picture after being raised with by nurses that were also Wonder Woman, like, Mei Chung, she actually wanted me to be the independent and not dependent on
Mm-hmm.
anybody ever since I was younger. And she's not married from this day. She lives in southern Thailand, uh, taken over by, she took over her parents' house. I went to her house, and she was in the like Thai Marines or Navy or something like that. So she's a strong woman herself. And May Toy, she was also like a nurse, and she did so many incredible things. And like I haven't talked to May Toy, but like May Chang, like I grew up with like all these women mostly. And I think that's what helped me and build me of who I am today, is to not be depend on other people, is to know that you have yourself before have others. Like, the only thing is you, pretty much. And thirdly, it's like it's really important to bring yourself up. So it's okay to be selfish at times for yourself for the right reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think with that strong mentality of knowing that, like, um of all that, and being around people that are like your mentors, your coach, your mom, and like nurses, and how you were raised and brought up, is actually really important. And it's different for me because I just came to America like not knowing any English. It was really hard, to be honest. And
Mm-hmm.
luckily my mom was a teacher, and she worked at schools, and she helped me through my language. And it was a lot of crying and a lot of struggle, a lot of frustration because, you know, grammar in America is weird.
It
And
is.
it's like different than like any other languages. And it's just, it's like you feel like you want to communicate and understand, and you want others to understand and communicate with you, but you have this barrier that blocks you because it's hard getting comprehension or grammar out. So there was a lot of struggling of trying to have people to understand you. I mean, to this day, I know that I'm a motivational speaker. I am an author, and I am an actress. I do all that, and but all of it is like, you know, the structure of talking about things, writing it down, just remembering lines. But like when you think about it, all that came from learning throughout time in early age stages of life and throughout your like and throughout my life for the last 30 years. I mean, school helped, but I think being around others that help you and being around things like traveling and like um, just just being around different things that kind of help you to gain that confidence, to gain that comprehension, to gain that grammar, and to gain like a lot of like different words, you know. I think it really helped me a lot throughout time, and I think it's incredible. So long story short, I was always this active kid, and I was like, Mom, I want to do things. I want to like live I don't know, I want to like I was always outside. So kids these days, you know, they're doing their own thing. But like when I was a kid, I was always outside. I never watched TV ever. Well, I like maybe a couple times, you know, when I was like, when it was raining out and all that. But even when it was raining out, I would be outside. Like I was just like the odd child out of all. And when it was snowing, I would go outside with nothing, with nothing on. My mom thought that was like wild, so she already know that I was already like wild soul, and my mom lets me do me. I think it's important to have your kids. I mean, I don't have kids. I can't. I don't want to speak for any other mothers out there, by the way. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, in my perspective, as respectful, I because being brought up this way. My mom, when I was a kid, let me do what I want to do, and she wanted to see what my interests were. She didn't force anything on me, even though she was like Christian. She's religious, but like she didn't force anything on me. I went to church with her, but that doesn't mean that I'm Christian or anything like that. You know, I just had to follow my mom, like,
Yeah.
but like my mom has this heart of gold where she's like, okay, Kanya, what do you want to do? Let's see what you like. She noticed that I love to cook. She noticed that I'm always love being active. I'm very hypersensitive. Like I always like, woo, let's do this. Like I'm loud, you know, and wild when I was younger. And I think that's just most kids. And she just let me do what I wanted to do. And because she was trying to see what I liked and what I shouldn't do, or why you know, she noticed this about me. I just do it without asking. She's like, when you were young, you just think that you can just go for it and just do it. And we're like, Kanya, you should ask before you do things. Or like, Kanya, no, like, you know, I kissed a boy in first grade. Like
Oh my goodness.
my first kiss was first grade. I didn't know that you're not supposed to do that at the playground, and that was inappropriate. And so during like teachers conference, it was embarrassing because like me and my parents and this boy and his parents were all in the same room, and we need to have a conversation. That was not okay. And
Oh
I
my
was like,
goodness.
and so that's why my mom is like, okay, we need to have boundaries. Like, because I would just do things. And my mom is the one that actually, so I was born with webbed fingers and 3 fingers on my right hand. People don't notice that until they actually thoroughly look at me or they look at it closely. But I went to Shriners Hospital to get surgery because I was born this way on my hands as well. So I can wear gloves and just, you know, cosmetic surgery on my hands. Shriners Hospital has different places different programs for people with disabilities or kids with disabilities, like mono skiing, snowboarding, track racing. You just get connected to all these incredible opportunities. And my mom have met some, patients, mothers or fathers there, and just talk about, like, their kids, because their kids were born with a disability or something. Charters Hospitals, like, for veterans or like people, kids with disabilities hospital. And at the time I was going there, and that's how I got connected to Oregon Adaptive Sports. And my mom signed me up to do all this incredible sports because I wanted to just always get out there. She took me to Christian camp, which is like you read Bible studies in the morning, and then you have lunch at kids lunch, and then you do worship, and then you go hiking, and then you do games and all this stuff, because my mom wanted us to do something during the summer. And she also took me to acting school and music school. So actually I was in an independent first film, I guess, in high school during summertime, and I guess that's probably how I found acting and modeling and wanting to pursue it more. But my mom was an incredible, like, is still an incredible mother, because she gave me all these, let's do this, let's do that, many opportunities, and she's also active herself. So I think that's how why I'm who I am today.
You've said a couple things in there, just like the confidence to be able to do and to go out and experience so many things. You didn't have any limitations put on you. And I've talked to people about this because I have young kids, and that is kind of one thing. It's like, I don't want to instill in them like any one way of being. Like, you have to allow them to explore. Just because I did this doesn't mean they might want to do it. And in those first years, I mean, so from when you were born until you were 5, you were really raised by strong, independent women. And that's what it sounds like. That's how you got formed, to be the strong, independent woman, no matter what your circumstances are. And then you were adopted by your mother, who sounds like another very strong, independent woman who allows you to express yourself and be you, which I think is so big, because I was just talking to a doctor the other day about how, as kids, our limiting beliefs, or our beliefs about ourselves, are developed up until birth, until 7 or 8 years old. So, and then after that, we go into a different, like, beta brain state where we don't, that's all in our subconscious, and we don't really pull back on that. So that's kind of how we are made to be who we are, in a way. So if you were in such that independent zone at such a young age, and you weren't babied, and it wasn't like, I need to take care of you, like, no wonder you're such a badass girl now, a badass woman doing all these cool things. So what is like your favorite thing? Because I know you're a motivational speaker. I know you're an actress. I know you're a model. I know you do all these amazing sports. Like, what do you have something that you would say defines you? Because this podcast is all about learning to find out who you are on an authentic level. So what would you say is something that is you, like, that is truly most authentically you?
So I also have to put a note about that. In the previous, I don't think my life is challenging, because I feel like everyone's life has a challenge, has struggles, have all kinds of things. And I know I have a disability, but I don't think I'm disabled. So I don't mind using the word disability, because I am disabled, and in a way, but I also feel everyone's disabled in some ways, like, there's just like this feeling of just everybody has some type of disability, to be honest.
True.
Whether it's physical or mental or anything. I mean, like, but like, I feel what's authentically me is, I don't know, because in life, when you think about it, it's like we're everything. So we're made up of energy, and we have this body for now, in this life of, we're born, we live, we die. But our energies and our souls and what we put out here, and it deals with all that, we leave, but we don't actually leave. It's like, I observe people And I feel like people has a part of everyone, if that makes sense, because I feel like we're all one, but we're not all one. So it's
It's the
like
oneness.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, but when I look at like some people be like, oh my gosh, she or he reminds me of this. There's like this voice and this personality and this persona that reminds me of this other person. So I feel like there's a little each of everyone with like together. So I just feel that I'm just everything. Like back then I was in track, and my favorite sport was track because in high school all I was doing is track. I traveled all over the world. I didn't have a normal childhood. I had to get homework from my teacher to go fly with me out on the road or whatever I was doing because I was doing sports. I was in the Paralympics and all that. So I didn't go to some dances and some cool things that normal or like other people in school usually do because I was either in Illinois, I was in New York, I was in Switzerland. I was like having a whole different I was like training 7 days a week. I was going to Seattle, Washington on the weekend to play wheelchair basketball with the Sonics wheelchair basketball team.
Wow.
And then Monday through Friday I was track racing and doing weightlifting to keep that, and I was not drinking soda. I was like I didn't have a normal like childhood. I was like I was like training and stuff because it was really important. I was in Chula Vista, California a lot at the Olympic Training Center. And so I think back then my favorite thing was that was track and basketball, and I did tennis. I actually was going to go to nationals and state for wheelchair tennis because I was really good at it. And I was also in sled hockey, and that was fun. That was just a little fun thing. But even though I started, skateboarding and surfing and mono skiing before all this sport, but I was more focused on what can build me. And so all those sports have built me to seek out modeling, acting. And because once you build something up for you, especially like sports, you can transform and switch over to modeling, acting. If somebody came up to me and be like, you're so beautiful, you should be a model, I'm like, are you sure? Because I don't know anything about modeling. Like, I was an athlete, and they're like, you're so pretty. And so Dream Factor of Oregon, they came up to my mom and be like, I want to give Kanya 3 wish, kind of like Make a Wish Foundation, but it was just a different thing at the time. So they said, Kanya, you get 3 wish. What would you want? First wish, my mom told me this. I was like, first wish is I want a car, because I was like 15 or 16 at the time. I was like, can I have a car? And then my second wish was I want to go to Hawaii. And then my third wish, just like, Kanya, my mom's like, Kanya, get something that would pursue you in the long run in the future. You will get. I was like, okay, I want to be a model. And so then, okay, so they chose, they gathered big time photographer that did celebrity photos, and they got me into my own portfolio and created all that with the Dream Factories of Oregon. And they kind of made it all happen. They kind of helped me build my career up, even though I already was building it through being an athlete and being in sports, but they also add a cherry on top of it. So I feel like everything all at once that built me just created this athletic model actress, and all these creativities that I have built throughout my life. And in my 20s, that's when I figured myself out a little bit. I'm 30 now, but I figured myself out kind of maybe 23, 24, is that I've noticed that I still love sports, but I quit track. Because I'm like, I've been doing it for 16, I don't know, I've been doing it for a long time. So I'm like, it's time to retire that. And I want to do something new. I want to do more action sports. And so skateboarding, I was like, I haven't skated in a long time. I only like mess around when I was go skating. And skateboarding was just naturally attached to me. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is like this in life now, from being a track star, transforming to become a skateboarder. And
Well,
so, yeah.
well, it sounds like, you've lived a very full life. You've had a lot of experiences, but that connection to sport and the movement of your body, do you think that ties you in closer to who you are on a true soul spiritual level? Because I know you're very spiritual. I know you're very connected to energy and source and those things. And even talking about the oneness, like we are all one. We all come from source. We all come from spark. We're fractals of it. I strongly believe that. So we are all one. You're going to see that in other people. But this is something I've also been exploring lately, is that movement. And obviously you are a very active person. Do you think that, and you love the outdoors, which I think is also huge. Do you think that helps you connect to that oneness and that inner spark that you have?
I think I'm just rare, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, you
I
are.
feel I feel like with everything I do, I mean, like everyone is each to their own. And for
Mhm.
me, I just feel like I'm very adapt. Like I'm very like, again, growing up, being independent, and then doing all this, and then having all that. I think I'm like I'm just very living my life. Like my motto is no legs, no limits. So I
Oh, I love
created
that.
that ever since I was younger. It's like no limits. There's no limitations, obviously, because I've discovered a lot of things. I've seen things. I've tested things and like see what I can and can't do. I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, right? And
Hmm.
so I feel like with me, it's just, yeah, my motto, no legs, no limits. Kanya Sesser, just like very myself and authentic, because I don't care what anybody thinks about me, you know? There's people that's going to judge you and look at you, but that's human nature and that's okay. And sometimes like I judge people, not judge people,
Hmm.
but like I judge myself in some ways without realizing it, but that's just like human nature, you know? And I think we just need to have respect with everybody no matter what, because you don't know what people are going through during this
Yeah.
time and all time. So I feel like with me, I just don't care what people think, and I give love when I don't get love back. So if there's negative
Hmm.
people that criticize me or like be like, how can you do that? Well, why don't you like what? But you know, because they were born in a different mentality. They were
Hmm.
born in maybe a small town. They were born maybe from a family who didn't show them freedom and didn't show them that there's all kinds of amazing people. So I don't judge that. And I don't get mad over it, because you don't know what their life is like. Everyone's life is through a lens is so different than everybody else, and their
Yeah.
teachings are so different. So, yeah. So for me, I'm very authentically myself, and I just let people ask questions more than assume. But most people assume than ask questions. Like, yo, you can ask me anything. I'm like an open book. Ask me any questions and anything, and I'll be totally 1,000% honest with you on what it is, and I can teach you, and I can show you, and I can educate you. I'm gonna educate you because, like, I think that's important, because they probably weren't educated on disabilities or, so I feel like in school we focus on so much of the upper surface than what's actually true and real under beneath those surface, meaning
Hmm.
we don't talk a lot about people with disabilities and teachings that, like, that's one thing of how it develops bullying in school. We don't talk about important things of, like, you don't need to be structured to get to knowing that, like, if growing up and saying that you have a like a learning disability or some type of disability that deals with struggling in school doesn't mean that in 10 years after that from now you're going to be a millionaire motivational
Right.
speaker. We don't talk about those things. We talk about things that, like, you know it's like, let's talk about the important stuff. So that's why I'm a motivational speaker, and showing my aura, showing my soul, showing everybody that to be authentically yourself. And of course, Kanya Sesser, no legs, no limits. There's no limitations.
I love that theory. And I think you're right. I think there is something in school. And I've struggled with that. And I struggled with that a lot of my life, is like this conforming to fit in and be a certain way. And there's so much beauty in so many different walks of life and so many different experiences. And I know what you're saying, how some people are born into a certain mindset or a certain family of beliefs and values, and they're brought up in that way. So it is hard for them to get out of their head and get out of their own way to accept and learn from other people. But then at the same time, think about it. You were born in a small area. You were born in a small town. You said it was one-way road, like that didn't stop you. So you were inherently born without that filter, without that BS that, you need to conform. And so maybe that is your gift, is that you were born this way so that you can shine and just be like, look at me. But how do you approach it with like the bullying and the attitude? Like, how do you say, it just doesn't bother me, people are going to be what they are? Like, how do you experience that? How do you experience, I'm sure people stare and look at you and they want to know questions, or they're just making assumptions or whatever. Like, how do you do that? What advice would you give to someone that is insecure? Because I think that's a lot of it, especially in school, when you're in that zone where you just want to conform and fit in, because it's almost like survival for you. You don't want to be the odd man out. How do you stand up and say, no, I'm going to embrace who I am from my fullest?
Yeah, so I was never bullied in school when I was younger. I feel like the kids there were more curious why I didn't have legs, and they wanted to be my friend because they're like, who is this girl, But I also feel like I had a lot of guidance from the unknown to guide me and protected me in that some sort of way as well. I think everybody has their own type of insecurities, whether it's looks, whether it's, relationships, whether it's friendship, whether it's just work related. It's everything. Everybody has insecurities of some sort, but different.
Yes.
I just feel that, know that it's not you, it's them. When people projects negativity and hurt and pain onto you, that's not you, that's their own insecurities that they're trying to go through. Because what do we do when we're angry? Usually, we think about law of attraction. So when we think about anger, what do we want to do? We want to lash someone out. We want to punch the wall. We want to just take that anger out into this universe. And then the universe what did I do to you? And I think also the fact that when it's it just has to deal with energy again. It's you bounce, it's like a ball. Imagine a ball shifted, bounce from one end and then it bounced back to the other. And what you got to do is don't remember. I feel like when someone criticize me or say something that was kind of rude, but they don't know or realize that it was rude, or they're joking about it, but it's one of those not joking about it. It's one of those just just kidding. I was just kidding. No, you're not. You wouldn't have said that if you were joking. There's a certain type of things, but I just be I just laugh about it sometimes, or I just send them good love and good vibes, because what people who are haters and who are negative to the world, they don't like positive. They want to see you be vulnerable and insecure, because they want you to feed off of their negativity. So I don't that's why I just I don't even look at comments when I have comments on Instagram and World Star. Me and my friend Al recently was on World Star. There were over 7 million views that was in that video, but he was all like, Kanya, there's some crazy ass comments. Dude, I don't even look at it. I'm just gonna have it out there because they want the thrill. When you become a celebrity and someone that you're becoming bigger and bigger each time, there's gonna be negative talks. There's gonna be haters. There's gonna be people that's not gonna like you, and not everyone's gonna like you. And they don't need to know why, like, they don't like you, and sometimes you don't need to ask them. But like, I don't feed off of negative, and I just wish them well. I call them jags. So jags is a word for like negative energy or unwanted energy. I'm like, get that jag out in the
Oh my
bag and put
goodness.
it in the trash. And like, or like, I just don't let the jags phase me, because it's just the energy.
Well, I think also something you said is really interesting, that you feel going through school, growing through everything, that you had guidance, that you had an inner knowing, and that
Yeah.
comes down to your intuition. Same thing. It's all talking about energy. We're coming back to that concept of well being one, but we all do. And we all have that inner guidance and that inner knowing. And when we can learn to tap into it, which sounds like you were able to tap into it at a very young age, you were very believing in it. You had faith in it. It really can guide you along your path. So it sounds like, I'm not trying to speak for you, but it sounds like you really had that inner guidance and that inner knowing. And maybe that's what made you so fearless and
I think it also
pursuing
has to
everything.
deal with being raised Buddhism. So when I was younger, I was actually raised Buddhist. Like, I was around monks. I prayed to, like, you give, you get karma and all that. It's like spirituality and that. And the monk blessed me with everything, and I've learned the knowledge of just how the world is, what is, and now and stuff. I'm not religious, but I seek different religions throughout my life, and there's so many openings of different things, like different goddesses, different I don't know, everything, and when you look at in life, it's just like the present. Believe in the like, just like look around you and just be like, yo, I'm living in the present and moment. And there's, if we live in all rainbows, positivity, and sunshine, how are we going to learn of things? Sometimes the darkness is actually pretty good in the light. And that's why, okay, so I have a soulmate, and he's very spiritual too. So he had to go through life and situations and things that was so dark, and I was his light. And so we have this tattoo of each other of yin and yang, and it's like I'm his light to his dark, and he's his dark to my light.
So you think we really do need to embrace some of that darkness. Now, I don't know a ton about Buddhism. I know, very surface level stuff, and I would like to learn more. So that obviously opened you up to the world of spirituality very young, but that dark and light, you believe that we also need to embrace the darkness just as much as we need to have that light, because we are in a world of duality.
Yes, exactly. I feel like if it's just all light and like all that stuff, like you sometimes need to learn and gain from, when you climb up the mountain, it's not like oh yeah, we're going to go through that mountain so easily and stuff like that. Sometimes there's going to be slips, there's going to be falls, there's going to be like hard rocks that you're going to fall sometimes, but you're going to get back up to the mountains. But when you get to the top of the mountain, you have light. Light always wins no matter what. But like, the thought process of like having, I think it's beautiful. I think the dark can be beautiful too. I think both attracts each other, and that's why it's like, you need light, to guide the dark. You need dark to guide the light, because like it's like yin and yang, like it's they work with each other and stuff like that. So, and that's how the world is. Yeah. That's how the world is too. Like here, LA, Los Angeles, Jesus, there's good people and there's bad people. There's like, there's crazy drivers, there's good drivers.
Yeah.
There's like crazy bipolar hot weather, or there's super cold, and so it's like, I feel like that's also how the world is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in LA and I worked in Hollywood for a really long time. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It can be the dirtiest, ugliest thing in the world. And then you turn a corner and there's just such beauty and joy and bright, and you see the ocean. So, I mean, I've definitely experienced Los Angeles is definitely, maybe that's why they call it the city of angels. It is that dark and light all mixed in together. But also, you think about it, if you want any sort of soul growth, I mean, whether it's you're transcending your physical form or learning whatever lessons we are brought down onto this earth for, you have to experience those challenges. You have to experience those dark moments. And I think most of us, I think it's a pretty universal thing that most people will say in agreement that if you look back at any of the worst times or the hardest times in your life, they actually ended up being some of the best times in your life because of what you learned on the outside or how you came out or how that light shone through. So it's embracing that darkness, and whatever, and also seeing the positivity. I'm just so amazed by your energy. You are just full of energy and life. And the whole concept of being present and staying in that presence, I think that's something that is a challenge for a lot of us. So how do you stay present, especially in a place like LA? You are moving so much. You have so much going on. How do you maintain your presence?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I'm not saying like I'm always like positive and all that stuff. Sometimes I have my moments and be like, okay, I need to like get away from people a little bit. So how I stay grounded is I like to drive out to like Sequoia or drive out to a lake or drive out to the ocean where there's no one, like a secluded beach or something. And just or take a mini vacation, or if I don't have that, I would just meditate in my living room. I have this big Buddha, like this black and white Buddha, beautiful wall with I don't know, they're like giving ceremonies, and then my whole altar in my living room is just all spirituality. And so sometimes I just like meditate and take time for myself to cleanse. I do some type of ceremony with some of my spiritual friends and just ground myself with my energy of that. But also that's just my intake. But when you feel that, like, for others who, doesn't do that or have that, I feel like take time of like what makes you happy. Put yourself in a positive thing that makes you smile and makes you happy. Music helps, music always lift me up and like always thrive. I feel like without music, I don't know where we would be. But music also help, and like just know that there's supporters too. Like if you feel like you have supporters, maybe like there's always going to be someone who's willing to talk to you, who's going to listen. Like I think like most people, sometimes we want someone to just listen without having them like a discussion on like, like options and all that. But like I think it's good to just have like that friend or someone to just listen to you. And I feel like, yeah, put yourself in a grounding state of mind. I just got back from Oregon, where I'm originally from, and it's so beautiful there, nature, with my soulmate. And he's all like, babe, you're gonna like be so grounded and you're gonna feel so good. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. And I'm like, I'm already grounded. What do you mean? But I understand what he meant. It's like so serene when nobody around. He took me to this beautiful freshwater lake, because we get the lake from the mountains of Mount Hood. And I understood what he mean by being the present, be around the serene nature, and just like listen to like what is now. And we just like sat together and listened to the creek, and it was just like we don't have to talk to each other. We just stay in the moment. It was beautiful.
Well, I mean, that's, I think one thing you've come back to time and time again is just like getting outside, getting into that nature. My husband's from Oregon too, from the Portland area. So definitely I've been there, and there is this peace from it. And, I grew up in San Diego. I went to school in LA. I lived in LA. So I was Southern California my whole life until a year and a half ago. I moved out to Tennessee, and, I don't have the ocean here, but I have that green, that grounded energy. Like when you go, there's just the lakes and the water, and it's just beautiful. And it really does bring you back. But I also wanted to ask you a little bit about something else that you said. You have an altar. So tell me about your altar. I haven't talked a lot about altars. I have one myself. Like, what do you do? What does your altar represent? And how does that help you focus your energy and intention?
Yeah, so my altar is all like I have Buddha there, I have sound bowl, I have a cauldron, a small cauldron where like I have this special paper where I write my intentions or my wishes and then I burn it in a cauldron. And then I
Mm-hmm.
also work with crystals because I feel like I I found crystals long time ago and I feel like crystals and like those amazing rocks transform and has a lot of like powerful properties that I can work with, and it seems like from the crystals and my pendulum, like I just work so well with it. And so that's on my altar. And then I have like just like like my rings and bracelets, all
Mm-hmm.
natural. It's like all good. It's like it's around my yeah, my altar area, and my salt lamp, I have that. And I have citrine and like all that. So I feel like all this property of just like rocks and minerals and sound bowls, which is the sound and it calms you and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's just good energy, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. And the interesting Buddha that I have like got that I didn't buy, but somebody gifted to me. So most of the things is like feeling of intuition or somebody
Mm-hmm.
gifted to me, and I have my tarot decks.
Mm-hmm. Do you read tarot?
I do tarot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It feels like you're very intentional about honing your energy around you, whether you're out doing what you do or bringing it into your home, pulling from your roots with the Buddhist background, and then bringing in that Christianity that your mom taught you. I mean, you're very well rounded and come full circle from it. So I think that's
Yeah.
just beautiful that you can like really bring that into kind of your normal everyday. It's not just like some weird practice that you do on occasion. It's become part of you, it sounds like.
It is. It became part of me naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So spiritualism and like Christianity, I'm not Christian, but like I know I've read Bibles before, like, taste a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
put the positive into that and created my own of like what my beliefs are, what I know of. But I feel like a lot of it has to deal with just like energy, like sound bowls with Ricky and like
Mm-hmm.
crystals, and I felt it and I saw a shift and transformation. But also it has to deal with the
Mm-hmm.
food that you eat and like
Yeah.
certain things that like you take in because it's your body and yourself. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
everything, and I think it's just so incredible because like I'm the one that like fill in what's like what's good for me, but I feel like everybody should do what they want to do, what
Mm-hmm.
they feel like what makes them like feel so good, and have their own altar if they wanted to, or have something that like you know connects to them.
Yeah. So what shift or what transformation have you seen since diving into all this?
So when I had like money struggles in my early
Mm.
time, or like when I had like emotional balance that I need to clear and stuff like that, I like pretty much just sit still, sage, meditate, do sound bowl, and just breathe in and out 3 times. 3 is my number, and
Mm-hmm.
tarot cards are just clarity. It doesn't tell you the future. It doesn't tell you, it's just clarifying. It's just clarity of what intuition that you already know, and maybe a message that like, oh yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
felt that. That's what it is. It's not like, oh, like, this is what's going to happen and this is it's
Right.
just clarity. And so and the pendulum is just like answers from like
Mm-hmm.
actually of what you feel, and like the guides and stuff like that. But like I don't know, I just feel a shift in energy after meditating and doing baths. I also like take baths
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
like candles
Mm-hmm.
and the crystals, and bath really helps because bath purifies and it cleanses your energy, it cleanses what you need, and doing that consistently, you'll see the changes like with practices and all that.
100%. I'm with you. All of that stuff from crystals to baths. Baths are like my favorite thing. That's where I get some of my best downloads, my best intuitive downloads is it's something about the water rushing over you and just that cleansing. But it really feels like you are just completely aware of the energy that you are putting out there and the energy that you are allowing into your life. And it shows. It shows in all you are doing. So I love the work you're doing. I love the inspiration that you are. Where can people follow you and find you on your tours or on another show? Or what are you doing where we can follow along with you on your journey?
Yeah, of course. So I'm mostly on Instagram, and then this thing called Thread by
Yeah.
I like go on there a lot at times, but yeah, Instagram, Kanya Sesser, and of course, you'll see me with the blue check mark, but like Kanya Sesser, and like yeah, you'll see me on there, and just catch me because I'm going to Montreal in a week for a skate competition that I'm in. And then after that, I come back and then I actually fly out to New York a couple days later to go be a part of this fashion runway. And I'm so stoked. And it's the week of my birthday as well. So it's like unexpected, like third time having my birthday in New York, but also having a gig coming along with it. So I'm doing a modeling shoot. I'm doing runway. I'm excited because my book is about to be out. So everything's happening. So I'm really excited. And
What's
you
your
can
book
actually
called?
like it. Kanya can. So it's going to be out at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, but like definitely soon. I'm actually have a meeting after this, but yeah. So you can actually and right now someone that works for me is making and setting up my website. So I'm going to post that about it later. But yeah, but mostly Instagram, Kanya Sesser.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. And thank you so much. I really appreciate getting to have this conversation. And I love just, hearing these different things that you're bringing into life and your no limits, no legs, no limits. I think that's one of the best mottos I've heard. I love it. I love it. And I love everything you're doing. So I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And
thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah. And I will put all the information of how to find you, and we can watch out for your book. I can't wait to read it.
Woo, perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kanya.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. So
you too. Have a good day.
Bye.
And that's it for today's Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Kanya Sesser, for the great conversation about having no limits, no legs, no limits. That's her motto. And I absolutely love it. What a beautiful energy and a beautiful soul. I really appreciate her taking the time out to talk to us. You can get her book soon. I'll put all the information of how to get in touch with Kanya in the show notes below. And as always, you can find Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers on our website at CourtneyMyers.com. And that is where you'll find intentional media with all of our courses, books, and everything else we have coming up. So thank you once again, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.